Hello friends, welcome back to the Zarathaxx YouTube channel, and you are watching yet another stellar production of the Solo Balance Speedrun Challenge. In today's video, I'm going to be answering the little cliffhanger I left you guys on about 2 episodes ago. Today we are going to be going through Grizzleheim, so Grizzleheim and Wintertusk all together, and that is what allowed me to get to level 60 and complete my last video, which go check it out if you haven't already. We basically upgraded all of our gear to Waterworks gear, but this is just going to be the Grizzleheim video explaining everything before we finally get to be able to go into Arc 2. Much like the 2 other worlds in this game that have multiple parts to them, being Chrysalis and Imperia, this took quite a bit of time. Even though I was vastly overleveled for Grizzleheim Part 1, or everything in Grizzleheim without Wintertusk, it still takes time to be able to defeat some bosses, blade up, use some feints on some bosses. It takes a bit of time. In lieu of keeping you guys not here for 40 plus minutes, because that's how long I think it would take to combine 2 worlds together, I vastly simplified on a lot of things, but definitely did not cut out the quality. So this video will be explaining the Grizzleheim lore, as well as our experience going through it as a solo balance wizard. But yeah, this video was a blast. Wintertusk is one of my favorites, not just because of the insane XP gain, but also because we get to meet Grandmother Raven, which there will be a section on that later. But yeah, without further ado, sit back, relax, grab some coffee, let's get right into it. You start off Grizzleheim by going to Bjorn Ironclaws, who is stationed outside of the doors of the king. Despite your whole point of coming to Grizzleheim being that you want to help the people out, Bjorn tells you that in order to have an audience with the king, you need to first be a noble warrior with a big name for yourself. The thing I most enjoy about Grizzleheim is these little tooltips it gives you before you start each section, warning you of the difficulty the section will bring to you if you're not of the appropriate level. Bjorn then sends you to venture into Savarstaad Pass to meet with Hagen Shieldbreaker, a member of Bjorn's band that will help you join his band as well after you complete a few tasks from him. If you remember from the end of my spellweaving video, I was level 57 by the time we started Grizzleheim, meaning that every enemy here in Savarstaad Pass, being around the level 20 mark, was very easily able to be defeated by one single sandstorm without ever actually needing to blade or prepare any further for any of these fights. Your quest eventually leads you to fight Shattertusk, a leader of one of the Boar clans that you have to defeat because he is keeping Einar Thunderhammer, one of the forged smiths from the band, hostage. Despite saving Einar because morally you are a good person, you also need him because, as I mentioned, he is a blacksmith that will be able to forge you a weapon to help defeat the Grendels, another one of the big enemies in Savarstaad Pass. This doesn't come without its challenges, however, as the Grendels aren't just easily defeated with magic, and they need to be defeated with this special blade that you need to have blessed by different elements. Those blessings being that of water, oak, and fire. You then make your way to Drogoth Fort, which is where the Grendel leader is being housed, and, after dispelling a ward outside, meet with Skellig, who is the leader.
Foolish little hairless one. What's that? A thrice-blessed spider-bane blade?
Triumphant with your victory, you meet back with Mr. Shieldbreaker, who then tells you are finally ready to meet back with Bjorn Ironclaws, who is a proud father of your victories, but tells you that your reputation still isn't mighty enough and you need to go help out a little bit more before you're ready for an audience with the king. He then sends you to go venture into the Vigrid Roughlands, another one of the areas in Grizzleheim, to see what you can do to help out. The entirety of this section of Grizzleheim is honestly just one big blur to me. You need to help out a bunch of different people with various miscellaneous tasks, but the main highlight of this area is when you need to enter the dungeon of Frostholm. One of the items you end up acquiring before you enter this dungeon is called the Eye of Truth, and you will need to remember this later for when we enter this dungeon. Basically, the whole reason you're here is that you are currently undercover trying to enter this rogue bandit camp kind of thing, and you go around sabotaging all of the different measures here that the basically evil bears have done to try and strengthen themselves up. You're only here in the first place because you heard word that Ivar Anderson, one of the old Thanes, or kings in this game's language, has made himself known as one of the leaders of this rogue gang. Upon defeating him in a duel, however, you use the Eye of Truth and reveal that the Thane was actually a raven in disguise, whose name was Mord Runechanter. You learn of the Coven's true intentions in this final fight here when you use the Dust of Truth that only allows the truth to be spoken in this room, where the Coven reveals that they actually disguised themselves as the old Thane, Ivar Anderson, because they wanted to pit bear against bear to basically catalyze their plan and set everything into motion. Finally uncovering the truth behind everything in Grizzleheim, you return to Bjorn Ironclaws, who is finally able to give you an audience with the king. Your long-awaited meeting with the king is unfortunately cut extremely short. You see, the king is able to tell you that he was successful in setting up a trade route between all of the peaceful organizations in Grizzleheim, those being the wolves, the bears, and the ravens, as you can see by the NPCs beside him. As I mentioned earlier, the Grendels, who are one of the people that are not so peaceful in Grizzleheim, have issued a challenge against you, most specifically one named Jotun and his two brothers, who have heard of your deeds across Grizzleheim and suddenly hate you and want to end you for that. If you were to follow your quest arrow like normal and go to fight Jotun and his brothers, you would realize that this is a very difficult fight against 3 really high HP and tough bosses. Something the game does pretty horrible in my opinion, and failing to explain to you here, is that you can make the fight against Jotun much more easier and manageable if you defeat his 2 brothers before the final fight against him. Before you enter the Hall of Valor, which is the middle dungeon where Jotun is located, you can enter the Winterdeep Warren and the Hellgrind Warren, which are 2 separate dungeons on the sides of the bigger one, where his 2 brothers will be there by themselves beforehand that you're actually able to defeat and remove from the final fight against Jotun if you defeat them before you enter the final boss fight. If absolutely none of that made sense to you, that's kind of the point, because Wizard101 explains none of that to you before you go and fight Jotun. Absolutely nowhere in a quest, in a tooltip, in a little book outside of the dungeon do they explain to you that you can enter these dungeons separately, making your final fight a lot easier against Jotun. I only bothered to defeat Grettir, who is in the Winterdeep Warren, as this dungeon is just a maze that you need to go through, and the other one is a series of many bosses that you need to get beforehand, so I just went with the easier option and made it 2 bosses against 1. I low-key almost get cooked during this fight because it is still 2 difficult bosses and Jotun himself is Storm. However, we are able to defeat him in the end and make our way back to the king. You meet back then with the king, who tells you to head into Ravenscar to meet with Hrafn Lorespeaker, one of his trusted allies. If you've heard me mentioning their name a couple of times until now, it is because in this instance, Hrafn tells you that the evil group of ravens you've met all along are part of a group known as the Coven, and they intend to reawaken the Ice Titan to send the world into an eternal winter. You basically end up going around Ravenscar, defeating a bunch of these evil birds that are a part of the Coven, and they all converge in this one final big fight where you have to defeat all of them then at the same time. The only way, realistically, I made it through this fight was because I had a robe that had given me 10 critical rating, as I had shown in my last video where I went into Waterworks. This 10 critical rating, although it might seem small, is super effective against enemies that are level 40 and thus have no critical block rating. I end up getting a lucky crit on my first Power Nova that's able to defeat the Coven Raven in the last slot, and then I'm able to follow it up with a Sandstorm that ends up critically on all of them, thus defeating them. After all of this is said and done, you are finally able to meet up with the king, who is able to praise you for your efforts for saving Grizzleheim. I finished up the little remaining side quests I had to do in Grizzleheim, thus gaining the 100% completionist badge for it. And thus starts Wintertusk, or Grizzleheim Part 2, where you essentially learn that the Coven is back at it again, and you once again need to head into Grizzleheim to stop them. When you hear people praise the world of Grizzleheim, you typically hear them praising Wintertusk, or Grizzleheim Part 2, and that is because every single quest in this area makes up for the lack of experience you gain in Grizzleheim Part 1. As you can see from defeating these common minions that you find in the starting area of Hrundle Fjord, I am able to get a pretty sizable amount of experience from just one quest. It is here in Hrundle Fjord that you realize the Coven's plans are quickly taken into effect, as even the Thane, or once again the king of this area, you find frozen solid. You unfreeze the Thane, Veneer Stormroarer, who tells you that if you're here to help and you want to get some information, you should probably meet up with Grandmother Raven, who is very wise and sagacious, and he informs you himself that she is probably as old as the spiral itself. Meeting up with Grandmother Raven was really special to me. I had never done Grizzleheim on any of my wizards prior to like my first fire wizard on my main account, and that was because, again, Grizzleheim gave no experience, so I never thought to do it. However, I watched a guide one day that told me to do Wintertusk, and when I got to this area with this next quest that I'm about to show you, everything clicked into place for me. Not only do you gain an insane amount of experience in this world as I had just showed you, but you also meet Grandmother Raven.
Greetings, young wizard. At long last we meet. I have long watched you as you made your way through the spiral. Perhaps you have felt my presence before. I celebrated your victories, and I hope that my counsel reached you in your journeys. You find me at a disadvantage. Though the ravens are all my children of a sort, some of them are quite wicked. The ravens of the Coven are especially untrustworthy. They caught... If you would help an old grandmother, talk to the 3 wise sisters called the Norns. They can see into the past, across the world as it is, and they know what is to come. They can help you set me free.
Grandmother Raven turns out to be the narrator of this game, or the subconscious voice that you hear as you quest throughout the spiral throughout the first 3 arcs of the game. The voice of Grandmother Raven and the narrator belongs to Dell Aldrich, who unfortunately passed away in October of 2022, but every time I go through this world, and even when I think of her, I always get really happy and excited because honestly, she shaped my childhood. I heard this voice everywhere when I was playing the game, and it really is very soothing and calming and makes you feel like you're connected in with the game and your character. There is a 5-minute long YouTube video called Grandmother Raven, a Special Dev Diary. And if you've never listened to it before, it will be linked at the top of the description of this video. But it genuinely makes me sob every time I hear it. It's basically a 5-minute long interview that the Wizard101 devs did with Dell Aldrich, where she explained some of her highlights of her career, why she enjoys getting to voice this character in Wizard101, and some genuinely pretty solid life advice. And I just recommend everyone to go listen to it because it's really magical in my opinion, no pun intended. But yeah, I just quickly wanted to put that little tribute or something in there because she genuinely means a lot to me as a voice actress and a person. But yeah, let's get back into the video now. You eventually are able to free Grandmother Raven from her restraints in this really awesome looking cutscene where she is able to tell you the plan that she has to stop the Ice Titan from reawakening. She tells you that the Ice Titan, Ymir, has had 4 sons, Austri, Vestri, Sudri, and Nordri, and each of them owns a section of land, each parting from the main center area of Hrundle Fjord. Along with the land that they own, each of the 4 sons own a golden seal, which if all 4 are combined, are able to put their father into a deep sleep. The first of the Ice Titan's son that you have to meet with is Austri. Austri is willing to part ways with his golden seal, but only if you're able to best him at 4 separate challenges. Those 4 challenges being strategy, charm, wit, and strength. The test of strategy has you basically winning a chess game against this guy named Skigus. Grond.
Ron, what is
You tell Grond your name.
you pretty...
You complete the rest of Austri's challenges, and then he finally parts ways with his golden seal at the end. After recovering Austri's golden seal, Grandmother Raven tells you you next need to head into Vestrilund to meet with Vestri, who is able to give you his golden seal then too. Vestri's kind of a chill guy. He's like, oh, you're here for my golden seal. I'm not that dumb. Go get it from my guy over there who's like my secretary. And his secretary is like, rah! I'm an evil bird. I'm part of the Coven. You're not getting my seal. Rah!
What the hell is even that?
Anyways, upon his defeat, he does drop the golden seal, and then you're ready to move on to the next area. You then head into Sudrilund to get Sudri's seal, and this area I can best describe and sum up as he is hungry and wants these golden apples. You bring them back to him, and you're like, wait, I kind of don't trust you. You're kind of an evil titan, and you're not going to give me your seal, right? And then he has you weigh his words on a scale. I don't know. And then you report back to him, and he's like, yeah, here's your seal, bud. You then go to get Nordri's seal, which is by far the easiest. You just gotta do a riddle in the beginning, which has no combat significance at all, and then you walk out with it. With all 4 seals in hand, you then report back to Grandmother Raven, who then sends you to go into the tree that she is sitting in, and this area is called Nastrond. For some reason, the evil layer of the Coven is housed directly underneath her, which is the only reason why I make significance to it. See, most worlds just have you defeat a final boss at some point, or do like a little preliminary dungeon, and then you go to the final boss. Nastrond is the final dungeon, which also has a plethora of boss fights and little minion fights that you need to get to before you actually finally complete it all. The beginning of this dungeon is rather simple, just a few more of the frost bones that you defeated in the beginning of this world, and a little bit of these like little troll golems that are along the way as well. Nothing too difficult here. It is not until you are almost at the end where you need to find and defeat the Coven, where you have to fight against the battle band, which is basically for enemies that have been basically charmed by the Coven to perform actions against their will, and they are here to fight you. This preliminary fight in Nastrond is insanely difficult. These people are not even the final boss of Wintertusk, and they have you fight these guys that all start the duel with 7 pips, have an insane amount of critical rating, and as you can see here, I actually do die to them once before I'm able to defeat them. During the first duel when I fought them, I did manage to pick off 2 of them, and when I came back to this dungeon using the dungeon recall, I only had to fight 2 of them here, so it was much more manageable, and it still gave me combat credit for defeating them here, so that was pretty nice. You then have to spell out in runic language Ymir's name, who is once again the Ice Titan. I have no idea why they let you do this, but it basically opens the door to where the Coven are at the end of this dungeon. You go through the gate, and finally you're face to face with the Coven. Although not is all as it seems here.
You have fought well, you meddling wizard, and it is clear that still, you cannot stop the coming of the Ever with the power of the Coven at my command. I call upon the sons of Ymir, the Ice Titan, to stop you!
You thought the last fight was bad. So yeah, in a very sudden turn of events, the 4 sons of the Ice Titan are here to try and stop you from lulling their father into an eternal sleep, after just giving you their golden seals, which would allow you to lull their father into an eternal sleep. This fight is the first and only of the main quest boss in this world to cheat, and I will show the cheats on screen now. But basically, you just need to defeat the other brothers before you're able to defeat the final one here, because he places some pretty hefty, like minus 90% tower shields on himself, and after they are defeated, you are able to freely hit him and finish this duel. And the last one.
You have defeated the Coven, destroyed our power, and thwarted our scheme! It is time to flee!
You have stopped the 4 sons of the Ice Titan, and now you must renew the spell upon... You place the golden seals before Ymir. After a moment, it is clear that the Ice Titan will not awaken, and the threat of the Everwinter is over.
You have done it. Use the teleporter and Jotun guard to come back to the entrance.
Let's go.
What an achievement! You should go and speak to Grandmother Raven now, though she likely knows already what has transpired here.
The Ice Titan slumbers once more, and the Coven's power is broken utterly. You've done it. Won a victory that all the kings, thanes, and heroes in Grizzleheim could not achieve. You are welcome throughout this realm. But now is the time to tell your headmaster Ambrose what you have done. Speak to Balder Goldpaws. He will return you to Wizard City, where you can continue your magical studies. You are Grizzleheim's greatest ally and a true friend, and I will watch over you always.
Oh. Oh. It's so sad, especially knowing that Dell Aldrich, the voice actress for Grandmother Raven, has passed away. I'm like... I'm tearing up. It's so sweet. Hello, Balder.
Are you ready to depart? Next stop, Wizard City.
My goodness! You say the Coven was attempting to awaken the Ice Titan himself?
Best believe it.
Unbelievable. You've accomplished so much in Grizzleheim. All of the professors here are impressed with your work.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll speak to Mr. Lincoln about getting you some extra credit.
Extra credit! Yeah! Yep. That is That's Grizzleheim. I mean, at least the main quest of it. Now I have to go back and do all the sides, but that's Grizzleheim. And so, do all the sides we did. This is me turning in the final side quest of Wintertusk, which was the basically book quest where you learn the lore about the place. And this is me showing off the 100% completionist badge. And that is all of Grizzleheim into one video. In case you were being a little bit curious as to why my gear changed from my Waterworks video, I basically just stitched it. And I know it's a very basic stitch, but I just like it, and I have no like insignia gear or like cool looking gear yet. It's a brand new account, so this is what I went with for now. And this also means that we finished Grizzleheim and thus Wintertusk at level 65, as you can see here on screen, which is insane to me, because that means whether or not you want to consider Grizzleheim Arc 1, Wintertusk Arc 2, anything like that, before I even touched any of the main quests of Arc 2, namely being Celestia, I was level 65, which is crazy. They might be changing things here and there with some XP gain, with some of the main quests of this game, but usually if you don't do any side quests in Wizard101, you come out of Dragonspire and go into Celestia at around level 44 or 45. I am just about 20 levels above the minimum level requirement to get into Celestia at this point. So yeah, with this out of the way, we are finally able to head into Arc 2 and make our way through the underwater world of Celestia. And personally, Celestia is my favorite Arc 2 world, so I'm so excited for it. We get to level up a little bit more. We get to farm some of that sweet gear that I mentioned in my Waterworks video. I just wanted to quickly say at the end here, these videos take a while. This video here was technically 2 worlds put together into one, or 2 parts of a world. Like when we get to Chrysalis, it's going to be probably a similar thing here. But the Arc 2 worlds are only going to get longer and longer and longer. Arc 2 is home to Azteca, Chrysalis, Avalon, some of the longest worlds in this game, and I'm not sure if when the time comes for us to do those worlds, if I will be doing it all in one video, splitting it up, anything like that. But regardless, these videos take a lot of time to edit them down, find the images I wish to use, do the voiceovers, all that stuff. So if you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to show some love, drop a like, a comment, subscribe, anything you'd like to do with that. We have a lot of videos on this channel put out about this series. I have content from other games if you are interested in seeing that as well. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.